Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com, and I wanted to do a summary of the news that broke a few days ago that there's arsenic in brown rice syrup and other brown rice products. If you're just hearing about this, it's kind of shocking, surprising, kind of seems out of nowhere, and it's making some people want to run away from brown rice and mistrust it, and it's making some people feel like maybe it's not entirely true, like there's some corruption going on. It just feels a little weird altogether because brown rice, especially organic brown rice, is a health food staple. Us health food nuts and hippies and Asian communities have been eating these foods for a very long time, and it's always just been that trusted thing. You know, instead of white rice, you get brown rice, right? And there's all these other amazing dairy-free products out there using organic brown rice. So let's find out the details about it. I went off and started reading, found a few articles that I found to be very informative, took some notes down, and I'm by no means a scientist, a medical expert, but with my research background, my passion for the environment and health, I feel like I've gotten a pretty good understanding of this, although I would always recommend that you double check some sources. And if you look below in the links, I provided some sources where I got this information, and if I have time, I'll post more on my website. So let's begin. So what exactly is going on? So there's a study basically that's found surprisingly high levels of arsenic in rice-based organic toddler formulas and energy bars. In fact, they found 6 times the federal limit. Very scary. And it was found in organic brown rice syrup, as I've said before. But some people are believing that there's a couple things going on here. One is that the study is actually not to necessarily scare us away from brown rice products, but to encourage the FDA to set regulations for arsenic levels in food. Because currently there are no regulations for testing arsenic levels in a wide range of food products, especially those that are grown in the United States. Really surprising there. And also people have pointed out that there have been some incorrect correlations and comparisons going on there that have kind of exaggerated the situation or misled some people were they not to read the details correctly. So first of all, we kind of know the word arsenic as not being a good thing, but what exactly is it? Well, it's a naturally occurring toxic chemical or element that occurs naturally in soil and groundwater. And some levels are present in all forms of rice. They're actually present in fruits, vegetables, grains, and seafood, especially chicken and fish. And you can even find it in our water and even the air. So it's kind of like a lot of the natural elements, like lead, for example, right? It's naturally occurring, but we know it's not that good for us, especially in high levels. The average diet, here's a good fact, includes as many as 1,000 micrograms of organic arsenic per day. The key word being organic. There's actually a difference between inorganic and organic arsenic, which is also a big thing to remember when reading these studies. Brown rice tends to have more arsenic than white rice, but levels vary based on where and when it was grown. A lot of the high-quality organic products that we buy in the United States are made in the United States, but it's hard to tell. I don't have exact numbers, but I know the brands such as Lundberg, that's the brown rice syrup that I always associate with, that's made in the U.S. And then there's products by Growing Naturals. Those are made in the U.S. as well, but a lot of them are actually come from, I want to make sure I get this right, I believe it's Pakistan. Yes, Pakistan. It's the majority of where brown rice syrup is imported from, and there are higher levels of naturally occurring arsenic in their water and soil. So you'll find a lot of these products that they're talking about are actually coming from outside of the United States. So what is the problem with arsenic? Here are the things that some of arsenic exposure can cause: thickening and discoloration of the skin, stomach pain, numbness in hands and feet, partial paralysis and blindness, and increases the risk of bladder cancer and other cancers. So it's kind of borderline fatal. It sounds like it was really depending on the dosages of it. Of course, anything could be fatal if you had too much, especially with all those symptoms combined. So again, coming back to that inorganic versus organic, I haven't had the opportunity to really explore what the difference is between the two of them, but inorganic arsenic is the one that causes a health risk, whereas organic arsenic, which is more prevalent, is not actually known to pose a health risk and is actually needed in low levels by the human body, like many elements. Some other things, arsenic in general is not believed to cause reproductive toxicity, which is a common way of measuring how toxic a product is, or a chemical or a toxin. And organic arsenic is actually not recognized as a risk. You've probably gathered that already. And no scientific studies have linked U.S. rice consumption to adverse health effects. So what can you do? That's really the bottom line here. How do you make sure it's safe? Well, first of all of the companies that are making brown rice products, especially the organic ones, are really paying attention. If you go to Lundberg's website, they're bringing it up. Growing Naturals, as I mentioned. Those are two that I've looked at so far, and they're very aware, they're paying lots of attention, and they're really explaining their own processes. So Growing Naturals, for example, which I actually wasn't really very familiar with for this time, but they have actually now that I see their label, now I remember, they have like rice protein mixes, and you can make like a really good chocolate powder and vanillas and non-dairy stuff like that. I've actually had their products, they're quite good. So they say that they actually do third-party and FDA testing plus self-regulating. So it's good to check to see if the company you're buying from does that, and if you're not sure, unable to find the information, then contact them. Lundberg, I found out, is organic and very sustainable, and they're U.S. grown, just to assure you, and they're very aware. So I would still trust them, but again, it's good to ask lots of questions in these cases. Things that you can do to protect yourself if you have brown rice is to wash it thoroughly. It's also recommended to add extra water to the pot to help wash away the soluble arsenic. And in fact, I have been learning to better cook brown rice myself, and a lot of people recommend that you soak brown rice, so that could also potentially help get the arsenic out. So soak it for a few hours, maybe even overnight before you cook it. And the last thing I think is very important is if you're on a gluten-free diet like myself, we tend to eat a lot of rice-based products to fulfill our desires for things like breads, and we should probably try to diversify our grains. So corn is a big gluten-free option, although corn has its own issues, so always make sure it's non-GMO and organic, and buy sprouted when possible. Corn actually is hard for me to eat, so I eat very little. I'm actually a huge fan of advocate of quinoa, so that's my favorite grain. And in general, and I forget where I got this information from, but I try to keep my brown rice consumption to a minimum, although I'll often find myself going to it. It's a very comforting food, and it's very trusted by the macrobiotic community. So I'm still learning, and I promise I will include you in on the information as I go, but I think diversifying your grains and your food in general is very important. So this might be a good time for us to all take an opportunity to think. I've been really into brown rice milk lately, and now I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to switch back. Almond milk, coconut milk. I don't really drink soy milk personally, but there's hazelnut milk, there's hemp seed milk, there's all these other alternatives out there, so maybe I'll start switching personally. So, we just gotta take examples like this as staying abreast on all these situations, making sure that we hold the companies that we trust responsible, that we don't just trust them because they're organic, because people say that they're healthy. We really need to delve more deep into it, demand that the FDA does more regulations and testing, and really educate ourselves in all of this. To be honest, I didn't really know that much about arsenic until this, so it's a great opportunity for me to be more educated, and I hope that you learned something as well. If you find some more information, I would love to hear it. You can leave it below in the YouTube comments or on any of the social media areas that you find this: Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, all those different places where I'm blogging and posting and all that other, and of course ecovegangal.com. Appreciate your questions and comments and feedback as always. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you later.